The IRS has not come out and said exactly what they're going to do, but if we look at past relief payments going out, it's first going to go to those with direct deposits, then it's going to trickle down to those needing checks, and those will be sent out in later weeks.
Already be in your bank account.
$91.95, which is crazy.
It won't bring gas prices down, but it could bring your bank balance up.
Money that I didn't expect always makes a difference.
Billions in inflation relief payments will start showing up in California.
The move comes as the administration has been meeting with oil company executives to negotiate ways to lower fuel prices ahead of the elections. Partly driven by high energy prices will be a key issue. The administration is also considering another release that would be separate from the previously authorized one, though a decision hasn't been made on whether to do so or not. The Biden administration intends to announce plans to refill the reserve, and also details such as how the administration would pay for the oil and when it would buy were still being worked out in one-on-one meetings with industry representatives. Oil prices have actually shot higher last week after the oil producing cartel OPEC, OPEC, and its allied countries announced they would cut their collective production by 2 million barrels a day. And Biden had promised a response to OPEC's decision, though the administration's option to lower fuel prices are limited. Prices had already come down from a recent of $5 a gallon this summer, but started to increase again last month after refinery outages in California and Ohio. A release from the Northeast Home Heating Oil Reserve could also be authorized, and one of the sources said that reserve, which holds about 1 million barrels of oil, hasn't been tapped since 2012. The Department of Energy has also raised the concern the possibility of limiting fuel exports in a bid to force domestic gas prices lower, but the administration has said in recent days that it toned down its rhetoric. Oil companies, executives, and analysts have all said that the move could backfire because it could cause producers to slow their drills if they no longer have access to foreign markets. Increasing domestic prices would be the cause of that. And when energy prices are high, the effect reverberates throughout the entire economy because the cost of transporting goods increases. Reining in inflation on reducing energy costs with companies making little investment to increase production. The winter may be hard as utility bills surge, and analysts expect that household expenditure on natural gas to increase 28% this winter. And with the midterm elections just weeks away, the party is looking to make up ground against Democrats in many states, wanting to target has been inflation, with many Republicans blaming the current cost of living on the stimulus checks. The idea that stimulus checks are driving the continued inflation in the job market has been rejected by many economists. And according to economists, inflation is not driven by increased effective demand, rather supply-side constraints drove inflation higher. There is one way in which stimulus checks impacted conditions that could have helped to explain the short-term inflation. When direct checks were sent out, however, production levels remained constant, meaning there was increased demand and limited supply. So this would have helped to explain price increases in some markets, but not everything. As supply chains were rebuilt and markets were adjusted, prices came down. So President Biden should definitely send out stimulus checks.
The state is forking out some $9.5 billion to cover the cost of these refunds, set to reach the accounts of some 23 million Californians. Now, if you filed jointly, you could receive anywhere from $400 to just over $1,000. If you file independently, the checks range from $400 to $700. Now, the governor's office says this is the largest program of its kind in state.
The county is anticipating divvying up an estimated $30 million in grants to small businesses suffering during this pandemic. Our ABC 10's reporter John Horn has the move officials could make tomorrow to get that money out as fast as possible.
Joe Paraiso designed La Mesa's Brew Coffee Spot to be a place for community gatherings, live entertainment, a home away from home. The pandemic put an end to much of.
Now, the expansion of the state's anchor property relief program would help reduce the average household's property tax bill to its lowest level in more than a decade, from an average near $9,300 to an expected $7,000. Homeowners earn as much as $250,000 to be eligible to receive some cash. If the plan is passed as expected, 970,000 New Jersey households that make up to $150,000 will get $1,500 in direct payments. Murphy's original plan had the state loosening up $900 million from the state's coffers to help approximately 1.8 million New Jersey residents with $700 rebates. Now, Governor Murphy said in a statement, state revenues have put us in a very strong fiscal position. Today, we are truly providing relief. And now, states and Republicans who have their own initiative to give 4 million households $1,000 tax rebates are against the plan. The Republican Assembly leader told reporters it doesn't deliver meaningful changes in fiscal policy. And also, friends, applications are still open for Connecticut families to claim the state child tax credit, but the deadline is fast approaching. Households can receive $250 per child and get benefits for up to 3 children, but must apply by July 31st. Governor Ned Lamont signed the 2022 Connecticut child tax rebate into law on May 9th. The state enjoyed a nearly $4 billion budget surplus and decided to kick some of the money back to taxpayers. Governor Lamont said that he expects payments to go up in August and to start a school year. Governor Lamont told reporters, "I strongly urge all eligible families in Connecticut to submit an application so that rebate can be sent to you with no delays. Any Connecticut parent who claimed at least one child younger on their 2021 taxes can get the child tax credit." And Connecticut's Department of Revenue Services sent postcards to more than 300,000 households that might be eligible in May, and those who have higher income may be eligible for a reduced rebate. According to the state's website, the rebate will be reduced by 10% for every $1,000 the parent's income is above the income guidelines. The maximum benefit is for a household is $750. Consumers appear to be keeping up with their spending with companies continuing to post new job openings to keep up with customer demand. The CPI index jumped a full percentage point in May. The ongoing crisis has spiked U.S. gas prices to record highs, with a spillover effect into every corner of the economy. So folks, President Biden definitely has to do something about this.
I'd like to now hear from my colleague from Utah's 1st Congressional District, an outstanding freshman on armed services, Congressman Blake Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Congressman Hearn, for organizing this special order tonight and for your leadership on the Republican Study Committee. I frequently reach out to my constituents and conduct polling, if you will, on what are the issues that matter most to them. And at the top of the list, every single time, it's debt and deficit. It's constantly debt and deficit. I know that's on the minds of many Americans, but particularly in Utah, where we are so fiscally smart that we have a balanced budget. We have a rainy day fund. We're still the most philanthropic state in volunteer time and dollars than anywhere else in the nation, but we care so deeply about being smart fiscally that what I ultimately take from this, and as I look back on the last 20 or so years of our inability to do this, Americans need confidence that their Congress, that their government can actually do something practical and reasonable. And that's what we have here in front of us, is a plan. Americans need to know that there's a plan to be able to inject fiscal responsibility again into what they have not seen for too long. Like everywhere in the nation, Utah families are burdened with painfully inflated gas prices at the gas pump, grocery store, and more. The average American household is paying hundreds more than they would for the same goods that they purchased just a year ago. Despite repeated Republican warnings of excessive federal spending, what it would do to our economy, Democrats have continued to vote for massive spending bills. As a father to 4 young boys, I know we must provide for the next generation a more stable economic outlook for their financial success. It's why